and welcome to an Inspiration Station. I'm designer Jen Gallacher, and in this video we're going to create a card with a bunch of different stamping techniques. The first one requires the use of a background stamp. Now this particular stamp is a rubber stamp, and it has the image on the back and it has the carved image on the red part of the stamp. And we're going to use this entire background. I'm going to use Versamark stamping ink so that whatever color of cardstock I'm using, it's simply going to bring out a slightly darker color. Now this is a newer Versamark ink pad, so it's very juicy, meaning it's a lot of wet ink on that particular stamp, and that is great when you are doing background stamping. So you want to make sure that you get ink all over the stamp, and then I'm going to take a sheet of 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock, and it is craft, and I'm going to gently place it on top of the stamp. Then I'm going to take a roller that just goes over the top. These are called brayers. And what it's doing is it's pushing that cardstock right into that stamped image. And the brayer is hard. It's a hard, thick material, and so it just kind of pushes that image in. Now do be careful that the image doesn't slide around and the paper doesn't move so that you get the cleanest image possible. And then when you're done stamping, this is how it will look. And you can see that Versamark brings out just a gorgeous darker tan color. Now because it's a Versamark ink pad, you could at this point emboss the back of it. And by that I mean embossing powder. You sprinkle it on and you heat set it. But I'm going to go ahead and use it like it is, and we'll just trim it out. So you can see here that I've trimmed down the card base. This will form the top layer of our card. And I suggest when you're doing cards like this that you start with the card top and then you can place it on a standard card size. So we're going to take some different die cuts and ephemera pieces and create a layering effect. We'll start with this particular piece, which is from the Craft Market collection from Crepe Paper. I'm going to bring in some pinks and some teals. This is one of their tags, and to the top of that I'm going to take some crochet twine and dress up the top with just a little bit of texture. So I'll just loop that through and then we'll tie it. And what I do is I stick my pinky in there into the circle where I'm knotting, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish knotting the twine. And then that gives me that kind of looped look of a regular tag. And we'll trim that off. So you can see you can just add some texture just by adding twine. You could also use pins, you could use ribbon, whatever you like. Then across the bottom here, we're going to add in some teal, and this is again from the same ephemera pack that these other two tags came from. To the bottom of it, we're going to take a doily. Now, I almost always use a doily on my projects, but sometimes I don't use all of the doily, so I may cut it in half or just in pieces. When I do cut it, you'll notice that I try and keep the design uniform all the way around. So we'll just add a little bit of adhesive to the bottom of the die cut. We'll center the doily on top, and do be careful because doilies are fragile. I think I want a little less showing. If you find that any is showing on the top, you can easily trim it out. And then you can add the piece to your card. So ephemera packs are great because they just contain lots of different pieces and color coordinating items. To the top of this, we'll do some additional layering. This particular piece, again, same ephemera pack, but it has a nice gold glitter finish to it. Place this along the side of the card. And then an arrow. If you like this look, you can achieve it by adding glue and then adding your own glitter to any of your die cut shapes. So think about ways to dress up your die cuts with glitter or enamel dots, twine, whatever you want. I want to punch this particular shape, and I don't know if you've seen these particular punches before, but they're magnetic, which means that you can punch them anywhere on your page. I'm going to use a sheet of 6x6 pattern paper, and I just place it on top of that platform, and then you want to make sure the magnets connect. And they won't connect unless they're perfectly aligned. So you know when you put magnets together and they don't quite align, they push against each other, that's how you'll know it is aligned. And you just punch it like a normal punch. And you get this great pink circle shape. So look for those magnetic punches if you like punches that you can place anywhere on your page. And if you like to punch circles out or different shapes, they have a few different designs. This particular butterfly is from a different collection from Crepe Paper, and it is machine stitched down the center. We'll just lift up the butterfly a little bit, and it already has an adhesive foam dot. We'll go ahead and place that right in the center there. And then I've already taken a little teal button, trying to match this teal back here, and I have added some twine to the center of it. We'll add that to the middle of the butterfly with a couple of glue dots. You could use whatever adhesive you like. These are tiny glue dots. Once I get the placement how I like, then I'll trim off any extra twine that I don't need. Then for the sentiment, rather than use a stamp or a die cut or stickers, look to your wood veneer shapes and see if there's a phrase that will work on your page. Now, these are thin and fragile, so when you're adding adhesive, add adhesive where it will be easily hidden, and be gentle, because I have had wood veneer shapes sometimes rip while I'm using them, so just be careful. You could also use a wet adhesive on the back. Overlap that butterfly die. We'll align it along the bottom here. If you have a card that has a lot of dimension, like this particular one does, what you'll want to consider is how to mail it. I suggest using a padded envelope for something like this or hand delivering it. Then we'll go ahead and add a little bit more fuchsia to the top by using some stick pins. And you can see that they do stick out on the other side. One thing you can do is you can place some washi tape on this, and then when you place it onto your card foundation, it will not poke through. So think about how you can protect the person receiving this from getting poked. And then the final thing I want to do is I'm going to add some enamel dots for my mind's eye, just to bring in again some more of that teal that we've been using. And I always try and create kind of a visual triangle with a couple of different dots. Now that we have the entire card, I'm just going to take a standard card base and add adhesive to the top of it. If you find you have a lot of layers, you may need to use a stronger adhesive. You can just place this right on the top. And these background stamps are designed so that they will easily fit on a standard card base. Be sure to check out my Inspiration Station blog posts every Thursday, hosted on the weekly Scrapbook blog. Look for a new Inspiration Station blog post coming next week.